In the studio, we have Alex McMurray, Dave Malone, and Paul Sanchez. And
Hello.
Hello.
hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
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 I met Spencer, I think, it was probably 1976 or so. I was eating at Spaghetti Eddie's Warehouse and Boston Bar on Pleasant Street, right off a magazine on the Riverside. And at the time, was looking desperately for people that felt the same way I did about country music and old-time blues and stuff. And there wasn't a lot of that in New Orleans at the time. And this guy was over playing, and he started singing. I'm like, whoa. So I went and introduced myself to him, and that formed our friendship. And then later on, we formed a band called Road Apple, which was right before the Radiators. Reggie Scanlon and myself from the Rads were in Road Apple with Spencer and my first wife, Susie, and a drummer named Steve Pavel. And it was great because I could tell from hearing him sing the first time that we would have the same sensibilities about vocal harmonies, and there wasn't a lot of that in New Orleans other than in the R&B field. Wasn't a whole lot of appreciation for country music and country blues and folk music, and it was like a breath of fresh air meeting him, and we started singing together, and lo and behold, it was great. And matter of fact, Spencer and I, over the years, in fact, 10 days ago or whatever, I was hanging out at his house for 4 or 5 hours right before he was planning with you guys to go in and start the new Wright Brothers record with his son Andre producing. And we were talking about all kind of stuff, but one of the things we always talked about is here specifically in New Orleans, but maybe it was everywhere, we don't know. It was obvious soul singers like Otis Redding and Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett and Aretha, and that obvious soul music. Everybody got that, but for some reason, people didn't seem to understand or get the soulfulness of people like Hank Williams Sr. and George Jones and Merle Haggard and those kind of guys. And we were always baffled by that up until 10 days ago still. I think more people get it now, but at the time, it was a rare kind of thing to have playing those songs like the Louvain Brothers, Delmore Brothers, with 3-part harmony or 4-part harmony. And it was just great. And he loved that stuff, and we loved the Sons of the Pioneers and all those cheesy Cool Water and Tumbling Tumbleweeds. And so we formed the band Road Apple, and we played country rock, which also was, well, we had an in at Tulane. The Tulane students loved us, but New Orleans in general wasn't kind of into that stuff or something. But we did all right. And it was always a joy to play with him, or just hang out with him and talk to him. That's my story.
Well, great. And would you like to take the lead and give us the first tune?
Yeah, let me try this one because I might start crying in the middle of it. It's a song written by Warren Zevon, and it's called Keep Me in Your Heart for a While. Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. When you get up in the morning and you see that crazy sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving lightly called when all is said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit. I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit. I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'll move on to the next one of you because Freddie and I are going to have plenty of time to talk about our experiences with Spencer. One of you has a pending engagement that must get out of here.
Yeah.
So we'll save our conversations for second
I saw
part.
Spencer first time on the cover of Wavelength magazine. I think I was like 19 or 20, and he wasn't much older than me, maybe 7 or 8 years older, but he looked like light years hipper. He had on his Stetson, pulled back on his head, and he was kind of splayed out with his feet crossed at the ankles, wearing this cool 40s-looking outfit. And I read about him and his Gulfstream trailer traveling the country with his wife, and I just thought, man, that's the guy, that's the life. And later on, I found out how hard he worked for that life, to build Spencer World, as he called it. One of my favorite things about hanging out with him in the Wright brothers, though, was that he loved telling stories. And he said that he was raised in a very strict religious family, and that he sang in a gospel choir. and they weren't. He only sang gospel. He only sang religious music, and he only listened to religious music. He never listened to secular music. And he said one day when he was 13, his friend in the choir said he got a hold of a record by the Letterman. It was Greenback Dollar, and it was the devil's music, and they were going to go down to his basement and listen to it. And Spencer said he was so excited. He felt like such an outlaw going down there, and the music really turned him on, and it wound up starting a whole path for him. So I love that story about him. Some people say I'm a no account. Others say I'm no good. But I'm just a natural born traveling man, doing what I think I should. Poor boy, doing what I think I should. And I don't give a damn about a greenback dollar. Spend it fast as I can for a wailing song and a good guitar. The only things that I understand, poor boy, the only things that I understand. When I was a little baby, my mama said, hey son, travel where you will and grow to be a man, but sing what must be sung, poor boy, sing what must be sung. And I don't give a damn about a greenback dollar, spend it fast as I can for a wailing song and a good guitar. The only things that I understand, poor boy, the only things that I understand. Now that I'm a grown man, I traveled here and there, learned that a bottle of brandy and a song are the only ones who care, poor boy, the only ones who care. And I don't give a damn about a greenback dollar, spend it fast as I can, wailing song and a good guitar. The only things that I understand, poor boy, the only things that I understand. That's all I understand, poor boy, that's all I understand.
What a cool song. I forgot about that song.
Mr. Paul Sanchez here on WWOZ. So, do you remember the Spencer story from? I remember during the writing sessions that you spent over his house. you enjoyed the stories, but you said they were also in the way at times.
That was just the first session. The first session, I was like, okay, how do we get this started? And Alex and Spencer and Jim have kids. They're sitting there talking about their kids and sipping coffee for like an hour. Finally, after an hour, I'm like, guys, are we going to write or something? What's going on here? It was fine after that.
So, but he had a wave of weaving you into a story that in song and when he spoke, that was just like nobody else. We were talking earlier that I think with his gift, if it was 10,000 people at a jazz fest or four people in a room, he had a way of making you feel like he was singing to you. That each individual would just walk away going, "Well, a private concert for me," and it was his storytelling too. It was like you were like he took you there, whether it was 20 years ago. I don't have that kind of memory, or 50 years ago. He was like total recall. I was like amazed at how he retained information, and he was like the walking encyclopedia of country blues. Like he knew more than anyone I've ever known ever. And he could just if you were looking for a song, he was like, oh no, you look up, find this record, and,
right.
And it was like, oh, I've never heard of that record. I'm like. So is there one a Spencer story that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, that was one of my favorites. He was really good to me after the flood. That was really the first time I hung out with him in Maryland. I'd been a fan for a long time, but I was always intimidated. I never quite got over being intimidated by him, to be honest. But they were real sweet to me, and they let me come by. And he said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Well, I left Cowboy Mouth, and I want to know how you keep working all the time." And he said, "Well, I wake up and I pour coffee, and I find a gig on the computer, and then I practice for the gig, and then I play the gig." And he was a bit more firm in how he told me to go about my work ethic than that. But it was great. And whenever I was feeling down about my direction, he'd have me over for coffee and give me the same solid advice. And then I really didn't get to hang with him until the Wright brothers. And that was just a great time, because at least in the songwriting sessions we were equals,
Well, that says a lot.
All right. That voice you're hearing is Freddie Blue. He didn't introduce himself, but and as some of you longer listeners know, Freddie and I used to do a lot of shows, late night Saturday nights, and then the Vibes programs, and then the Jazz Fest Breakfast Jam, and we actually once did a 14.5-hour overnight continuous jam, which we'll never do again. Just not enough caffeine. But Alex, I'm going to pull you into this conversation now and tell us what is your fondest memory of Spencer?
Oh, for sure. Traveling with him, we did a little bit of driving together for a couple of gigs. He got me on some good gigs, like out in Alabama, a place called the Frog Pond. And he got me on a gig in Baton Rouge, place called, it's a listening room.
Red Dragon.
What?
The Red Dragon?
The Red Dragon. I was going to say the Dragon's Den. I'm like, I think I've tried to get that gig for years, and I never got it. And then Spencer snapped his fingers and made it so, And so we drove out there. We drove to Montgomery and back. But it was cool just traveling with him, just like in his element, which was not the car, the element, but his element, which was to be on the road, and just moving. And, didn't drive too fast, didn't drive too slow, didn't stop much, didn't pass too much, just kind of stayed in his lane. Slow and steady wins the race kind of guy, And, we get to the gig, and he gets ready for the gig, and he, does the gig. And once the gig starts, it's, it's time to be at the gig. You're not, checking your phone. You're not looking at your watch. It's, it's showtime. And that was something I valued in him, was his business acumen, I guess you could call it, or his, I don't know, just his way of being, at the gig.
Work ethic.
Snappy dresser.
He was a snappy dresser.
That's true.
I was just going to ask you, so when you were traveling with him, was he also dressed? Because I never saw the man in a bad outfit.
No,
Even at the gym.
he never wore bad or shabby clothes ever, but he would nonetheless change those clothes into something nicer, his show clothes at the gig.
Right.
And they would, he would, I don't play with a lot of guys that like deal with hangers. He has hangers, and he had in his car, the van, they had to get a special van, it was really tall, so they could have a clothes rack in it and a place to put all the gear. And the clothes rack, that was, and a place to put the shoes. It wasn't just like, you didn't just throw that stuff on the floor, man. It was like, he had his own dressing room on the road, And
It wasn't like that in the early days.
I was about to say,
he morphed into professional dress-up guy.
Yeah, well,
Hey, he pulled it off always.
I was late to the party. I will admit,
it wasn't always like that around, for coffee in the morning either.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So he'd put on something extra spiffy for the clothes, and when he was done, he always had another shirt to change into because he would sweat like quite prodigiously sometimes, and I guess it was Zigaboo Modalist who, like back in the day, said, Spencer, you're going to catch pneumonia if you don't change your shirt after the gig, right? And he heard I have this cough, I always coughing. It's like all the Wright brothers demos are covered with this sound of me coughing because I just have I'm allergic to people or something. And so he hears this cough and he's like, Alex, I've been meaning to say to you, have you tried changing your shirt after the gig? And I'm like, no, Spencer, I haven't. And he's like, he says, because Zigaboo told me that, you might stay healthier if you change
Makes
your
sense.
shirt.
Again, we never did that in the early days.
Yeah. Well, he evolved, unlike a lot of us.
Yeah. Unlike me. I just use a fan on stage.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's because you're not going to believe this, but playing in ballrooms in New Orleans is a sweaty scenario.
It is. It is.
All right. You're tuned into WWOZ. We are here with Alex McMurray, Dave Malone, Paul Sanchez, Freddie Blue, and I'm Big D. And we're talking about Spencer Bohren. And Alex, your turn to give us a song.
My turn. So here's a song of Spencer's that I think sort of captures the ethos of his travel and musical lifestyle. It's in the key of E, fellas. Well, I go where the weather's good. I do what I think I should. I move nearly every day, trying to drive those blues away. And I do what I want to do. I know who I'm talking to. I'm heading down the highway. I always do it my way. Disappearing nightly. Disappearing nightly. Disappearing nightly. I always get my pay in cash. Kings, queens, and jacks. Life is like a card game, playing for the price of fame. I'm writing down another tune, yet another dressing room, cut another piece of cake, looking for a big break. Disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly. Let me take it. Try to make a square deal. It's hard to get a square meal. Never get the ends to meet. You seldom have enough to eat. I ain't got no time to make a friend. I wonder where it all will end. See you later, got to go. You got to make another show. Disappearing nightly. Disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly, disappearing nightly.
That's your song? Wow, that's cool. I never heard that one.
As far as I know.
Yeah, it was his. Yes.
He used to do it all the time.
Yeah, I had not heard that song until well after I had known Spencer, and it was one of the ones on his album that I kind of skipped over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as us DJs are likely to do. You know, we kind of look at a title and we can't listen to everything that comes in the mail. You know, from beginning to
No?
end. But no,
Wait,
no.
you guys listen to everything that comes in.
Well,
Wow,
you
did
know.
that, Alex?
I did not know that,
Paul, did
Dave.
you know
I'm
that?
flummoxed.
I'm flummoxed. We're all flummoxed. We can't spell flummoxed, but that's what we are.
I think it's got 3 M's.
It's a great story for another day. The song, an album that I listened to the first 3 and then just threw it in the pile. And the 4th song was absolutely fabulous, and I didn't hear it until I saw it on a YouTube.
Wow.
But anyway,
Well,
that,
I've known him a million years, and I've never heard that song. I love that song.
I mean, I can't tell you if he wrote it or not. I didn't.
You just did tell me that you wrote it.
I mean, I'm recanting my statement. I'm
recanting.
going to retract.
I mean, you can't retell me.
I can.
Right.
He
can untell you, though.
I don't know what's
He's
going on.
untelling you.
Somebody out there knows more about this than me and
Oh.
can call in and inform us.
We should mention what Marilyn
Yes,
asked us
right.
to
Yes.
mention.
You got the info, right?
yes,
The memorial for Spencer will
Right.
be
There-
June.
23rd, right?
yes, June
Yeah.
23rd at the Maroney
Maroney
Opera
Opera
House.
Is that a
That-
Sunday?
Yes.
Yes, and it's at 1725 St. Ferdinand Street, and it will be from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m.
Yes, indeed.
So
Love to the
Sunday,
Bohrens.
June 23rd.
Yes.
Sunday, June
Sunday,
23rd,
From 2 to
Maroney,
6.
Maroney
Maroney
Opera House.
Cool.
All right.
I have to catch a flight to Texas.
We know.
So I have time for one more.
All right, well, we'll let you
Leave
go
in
next
the
then.
capable hands of these two gentlemen after that.
Go ahead. Give us one more.
On the first Wright Brothers record, Spencer covered my Jet Black and Jealous. So on this record, I covered a song of his called There Goes Another Day. And I was real pleased he was there when I recorded it. It was Andre on piano and me singing, and Spencer really dug it. Deal the cards, play another game. It's getting dark. I really shouldn't stay. Oh, the time so easy slips away. Sun goes down, there goes another day. Time that's lost cannot be found again. Every hour we're closer to the end. Oh, the time so easy slips away. Sun goes down, there goes another day. Once you held a dream, but now it's slipping through your fingers. Don't look back, keep steady rolling on. Stay on track, we're here and then we're gone. Oh, the times we throw our lives away. Sun goes down, there goes another day. Oh, the time so easy slips away. Sun goes down, there goes another day.
Paul Sanchez here on WWOZ doing the Spencer Bohren composition, There Goes Another Day, and doing it well. Thanks so much.
Blue.
Now, Paul has to leave us. We want to thank you so much for coming in and
Boy, Sam.
tipping your hat to Spencer as he heads off to Texas.
Nice seeing you, Paul.
And so we are celebrating the life and music of Mr. Spencer Bohren. But Paul's departing, but Dave and Alex remain. So we're gonna go to. Is it? I think it's Dave's turn again.
Dave's turn again.
So Dave, I'm fascinated by the early days that you had with Spencer, because I was spending my time with the great unwashed masses that were the Deadheads at that time. So do you recall some of the tunes that you used to do in the early days when you were? And where did you play?
We played, God. We played in odd places. We had a connection with Tulane. My previous band, Dust Wolfie, had a connection to Tulane, so that kind of rolled over with Road Apple, and we played at, there was a place called the Fado Do, I think, on Maple Street, and Jed's, and the 501 Club now and then, places in Baton Rouge and Lafayette, and we played this one weekend at the Gibson Hotel in Apalachicola, Florida. Spencer and Marilyn, who had driven everywhere, I think every place there is to drive, with the, it was an Airstream trailer, not a Gulfstream, but who cares? Very cool. They raised their family in that environment, and so Road Apple played at places like that, and the people that ended up starting Tipitina's, the 14 Tulane people, who had some catchy name for themselves, would throw parties, and we played for them. But this gig in Apalachicola, this Gibson Hotel, Marilyn and Spencer were friends with the lady, the owner, whose name I can't recall, and she was having a difficult time. So we just went over there, and we were the house band. But what he didn't tell us was that we had to restock the beer cooler after the gig and bust the tables. But it was cool. It was great, in fact. We had Reggie, the bass player for the Rads, and myself, we actually shut down an oyster shack because we ate all of the guys' oysters. But Spencer and Marilyn had all these pockets of love everywhere that they, conjured up over the years. It really is amazing what they did raising the kids. In the early days, I guess it was just Django around initially, of course, being the oldest child. You see how I figured that out?
Well done.
And then Andre, who has the same birthday as me, by the way, August 29th, that Katrina, she who else shall not be named day. August 29th is me and Andre's birthday. But we played wherever we could play. We just loved singing. And we did stuff like, well, here, Alex.
Let's do it. Whatever you got in mind, I have no idea.
Neither do I.
Dave Malone and Alex McMurray are going to surprise each other and surprise you here on WWOZ 90.7 FM.
Just venture into the unknown.
The two of us are going to sing 4-part harmony. Go ahead. Blues, stay away from me. Blues, why don't you let me be? Don't know why you keep haunting me. Love was never meant for me. True love was never meant to be. Seems somehow we never can agree. Life is full of misery. Dreams are like a memory, bringing back the love that used to be. Pick it, Wilson. Tears, so many I can't see. Years don't mean a thing to me. Time goes by, but still I can't be free. Stay away from me. Blues, stay away from me. Blues, stay away from me. Yeah. So that was by the Delmore brothers, and the Louvain brothers did it, and it was written by someone else. But so songs like that, that we could harmonize on. Spencer also liked R&B stuff, and he would do his own spin on it. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard his version of "Shopping for Clothes" with Mac. Mm-hmm. It's great. That's one we used to do too. Well, I was shopping for clothes. I don't know it, but that's how it goes. I think it was the Coasters or somebody.
Coasters, yeah.
Yeah, but he also was the only person I ever knew. There might have been one other, but though he's the one I remember that could remember all the words to the Hank Snow song. I've been everywhere. I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, and every town in the world he names because he'd probably been there.
Right.
Twice.
But really, I need to mention that he would sing. He had a song called Utah Moon, which was beautiful. And he did a great version of Dr. Jazz that my son Johnny sang with him. But his singing of Willie Nelson's Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, good grief. That was a tearjerker, big time. He just had a beautiful voice, pure voice. And his, when I met him, I didn't know about finger picking. I still don't. Alex is like a wizard on that stuff, right, Alex?
Whatever you say, Dave.
But
Alex so loves to gush on himself,
but Spencer did that stuff effortlessly, and I'm going, how do you do that? Because digits are all doing different things. He said, well, how do you do what you do? I don't know. So we didn't know what each other did, but it complemented each other. It was just a delight to make music with him. I'm going to miss him terribly, dude.
I think we all are.
He could just go out by himself. He just could do it by himself.
I don't like playing solo. I'm not. I like interacting, but he had it down pat, and he could be entertaining. The story, not just the music, but the storytelling, and the whole seriousness of the presentation.
Yeah.
He took. I mean, he worked harder on the production of his shows probably than the actuality of his shows. But he took this stuff very seriously, and he was damn good at. Can't say damn, right?
You could.
Yeah,
I think
damn
you
is
could
fine.
say Damn,
Yeah.
damn is
He was
fine.
damn good at it.
That's right. Just
And
can't
I
add any
admired
preface
that
to it.
Greatly. When the radiators started being on the road all the time, our kind of universes shifted, and I didn't play as much music. We always saw each other and hung out and played El Paso by Marty Robbins, or see them tumbling down, spreading their heart to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. Honestly, we loved that stuff because it was all these harmonies, and he loved Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys and Texas swing stuff. He was a musicologist, really.
Absolutely. And as you said about playing alone, I was working with Spencer to book him at the Dewdrop for the Down the Dirt Road series that we did. And I was asking him about what he'd want to do later on after that. And he explained to me, he said that he loves playing with people and really enjoys, band music. But for the audience, he's best alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly true. Because I've seen him in band configurations where.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
But he was one of the few that are really good at doing solo stuff.
Well, yeah, and we used to talk about that, and like when he would get with the band with the Whippersnappers,
Probably his best band ever, by the way.
It was a treat to be in it, and sometimes Andre would be kind of like, because Spencer is used to playing by himself, so he would just kind of plow ahead, and Spencer would just like stop and like say, "Dad, you gotta play with the band. We're all, I'm the drummer, man. You got to,
Yeah,
So,
and well,
you know
at
what I mean?
that point, he
But-
had not played with a band.
That's what
for
I'm
a
saying.
long
Like
time.
so he would say, it gets kind of frustrating, when but I've been playing by myself for 30 years or something, and like, he's like, I didn't want to go out there by myself. It's just the only way I could afford to feed all these
Figured
people
it out.
is to, split the
'Cause
money
those
one
kids,
way.
Those kids eat, right?
They eat, man. They're all so well nourished.
Yeah.
They've got great developed gray brains. They walk upright, and they opposable thumbs, and the
And
whole
they're pretty
thing.
damn smart, too.
They're pretty, pretty smart.
All right.
Fantastic family.
Well, we're closing in on the top of the hour. The clock says it is 2:59. You're listening to WWOZ FM in New Orleans, 90.7 FM. And we had to do that for FCC reasons. And we're going to get one more song out of Alex. And Alex, I'm going to ask you to say, "You have my permission."
You want me to say the sentence?
Yes.
You have my permission.
Cool.
Thanks for the guitars.
Actually, I'm going to share a song from the Wright brothers at the Dewdrop, and you just gave me permission to do that.
Okay. Well, that was a little duplicitous.
Yes, just a little.
Okay. Well, do your worst, man.
So, one more song from Alex, and then, folks, if you're waiting for the live wire, we'll do that afterwards.
All right. Well, here's one. We were talking about Spencer finger picking, and this is one of his. This is probably my favorite Spencer song. Gonna be in D. Yeah. And he would do this one when I first started playing with Spencer. Every once in a while, he'd whip this one out and would just knock me down, and I always loved it. So I'm gonna do it for you now. The old homestead's broken down. Everybody's moved to town, but the leaves still turn scarlet up the holler. The garden's filled with weeds. Everything has gone to seed, while the kids are chasing that almighty dollar. My sister's on the coast, and my brother's making toast in a diner somewhere out in Arizona. Dad's been gone a while, but I can still see Mama smile, but she doesn't recognize me anymore. And the wind blows through the trees, knocks me on my knees when I think of all the songs we used to share. I'd give everything I had just to hear my mom and dad singing those old songs we used to sing together. Me, I've been rambling around, singing songs from town to town, but I never found a wife or made a dime. But I loved every mile, and the memories make me smile. But it might be, heaven's run its course, it might be time. And the wind blows through the trees, puts me on my knees when I think of all the songs we used to share. I'd give everything I had just to hear my mom and dad singing those old songs we used to sing together. Now the air's getting cold, must be time to hit the road. There ain't no way to sleep here anymore. But if I could have my way, I'd come back here and I'd stay. Listen to the birds sing every morning, and the wind blows through the trees, puts me on my knees when I think of all the songs we used to share. I'd give everything I had just to hear my mom and dad singing those old songs we used to sing together. The old homestead's broken down, everybody's moved to town, but the leaves still turn to scarlet up the holler.
Mr. Alex McMurray, performing a song by Mr. Spencer Bohren. And the Bohren family wants to ask you, in lieu of flowers, you can donate to the Don Jameson Heritage School of Music. Visit jazzandheritage.org /contribute. So the music carries on, through the young ones. And I'm going to say that the Bohren family is probably the finest group of people I've ever had the pleasure to know. And Miss Marilyn also wants you to know that on June 23rd, there'll be a memorial service at the beautiful Marinay Opera House from 2 to 6. Think about your best Spencer stories and bring them along with you, as there'll be time to share and remember the life of Spencer Bohren. And this has been fantastic, gentlemen. I appreciate you bringing your stories and bringing the music to life in a whole different way, because I think that Spence would prefer that way other than through tears, or laughter is always the best the best way. So
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you coming in, and keep doing what you're doing, and keep
All right.
Spencer and the family in our hearts.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Thank you for doing this.